Okay, so let's get started playing the guitar. First thing we're going to learn are chords. Chords are groups of notes that will be, for the guitar today, we'll be dealing with 4 strings, 5 strings, 6 strings. And we're going to play all those notes at once. That's what a chord is. And chords have names like C chord and A minor chord and A dominant 7th. And that's mostly what you're going to be using when you're playing rhythm guitar and playing songs. So that's a good place to start. And the way we're going to learn these chords is off a chord diagram, sometimes called chord blocks. And let's learn what those diagrams mean. That's where all the information you need is to get your fingers in the right place to play these chords. So the vertical lines, they're the strings. From left to right, it's the 6th string, then 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. Then the horizontal lines on the diagram are the frets, but the top line is the nut. So you're basically looking at a picture of the fretboard about right here. So strings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then the nut where the open strings are, and then the frets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So the diagram is about this big. All right. There's information on top of the diagram, and there's an X, and that means that you don't play that string. If there's an O, it means that it's open, and we talked about open strings, etc. We will not be holding any of the strings down at the frets with our fingers. And then you have numbers, the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that refers to your fingers, which finger to put on there. So that's why we talked about how everything was numbered, because we'll be reading these diagrams, and all that information is on there for you. You can see what string number it is, you can see what finger to use, and what fret to place it on. So let's start by reading a chord diagram so you can experience this for yourself and figure out how this works with where to put your fingers. So let's take a look at a C chord. That's a very common chord to start with on the guitar. And we have above the 6th string, the first vertical line on the left, we have an X. So that means we're not going to play that string. So we move on to the next string, and that has the number 3 at the top of it. That's the 5th string, and you're going to take your 3rd finger, and there's a dot there, and the dot is behind the 3rd fret, and that's right here. So right now, take your 3rd finger on the 5th string, and you're going to place it on the 5th string right behind the 3rd fret. Now we're going to take this note by note as we go across the chord diagram, so I don't want you to press real hard right now. Just kind of park it right there on the string. So take a look at this. This is how we finger a note on the guitar. I have the tip of my finger, and it's on the string, and it's right snug up against the fret. So it's not right on top of it, and it's not way back here, but as you can see, it's just right behind the fret right there. All right, let's move on to the 4th string. We're going to take our 2nd finger, and we're going to, on the 4th string, put it on the 2nd fret. So again, using the tip of your 2nd finger, you're putting it on the 4th string behind the 2nd fret, right snug up against the fret. Next, on the 3rd string, there's an O, so that means that it's open. Then we have the 2nd string. We're going to take our 1st finger, we're going to put it on the 2nd string behind the 1st fret. Again, on the tip of the finger, right snug up against the fret. And then finally, we have the 1st string. It's the vertical line on the farthest right of the diagram, and that has an O above it. That means that's open. So this is now all my fingers in the position for a C major chord. All right, let's talk about positioning and technique. You want to have your thumb right behind the neck like this, and it's supporting your fingers. Still don't press yet. We're just going to kind of adjust some things, and when we're ready to strum, that's when you get to press down on the strings. Looking at my fingers, you notice there's a nice arch. So they kind of come up and right down on the fingertips. And the fingertips are snug against the fret like this. So what you're holding should look something like this. I also can say that I probably know you're experiencing a little bit of discomfort right now. It feels awkward and weird. If you haven't ever played the guitar before, this is kind of a strange thing you're asking your hand to do right now. So that's part of the process. You're going to be getting used to putting your fingers in these positions, and you'll be surprised how quickly that comes together. Lots of people play guitar, lots of people learn to play these chords, and there will be a time where you will be grabbing a C chord just right away. So once you have the positioning where you want it, now we're going to hear this chord. So now it's time to press down. So go ahead and press down on the strings and hold them tightly against the fret. Now with the right hand, we're going to take our guitar pick. I'm just going to hold it like that. It's kind of coming out from a right angle of the right hand here. And remember on the diagram that there is an X above the 6th string. So I'm going to start strumming the strings here at the 5th string. And I'm going to hit each string one at a time. Watch this. That way I can hear each note of the chord. Let me do that again. All right, let's take our hands off the instrument. Kind of maybe shake it out a little. That was your first chord probably. So that's it's a lot to ask of your hand, putting it in this specific place like this. But like I said, it's going to come together pretty quickly. And the way you'll do that is just by playing C chords as much as you can. That's what you want to practice at first. And every time you read that diagram, just start from the beginning. Take it one string at a time, going left to right. And just put your fingers in the right place. Check your positioning and your technique and thumb placement and all that. And then strum the chord. Let's hear that again. It's the 6th string is X. Then we have 3rd finger, 5th string, 3rd fret. 2nd finger, 4th string, 2nd fret. 3rd string is open. 1st finger, 2nd string, 1st fret. And then finally we have the 1st string is open. So we're back to the C chord here. We check our positioning, thumb behind the neck. Fingers are arched. The fingertips are snug behind the frets. Then we press down, take our pick, start the strum on the 5th string. So that's what a C chord looks like, feels like, and sounds like. Now in the beginning, sometimes all the notes aren't ringing clear. You might have heard a sound like this, or buzzy kind of sounds. That's pretty natural. When you're starting anything for the first time, you got to get used to it. You're doing some very specific movements here, so it takes a minute for the body to get the hang of things. So you just keep at it by practicing the chord. Eventually everything gets right where it needs to be, so you hear this chord nice and clear. One of the things that will help is being very mindful about clearing the strings. There's a few reasons why you get these thump sounds, kind of a muted string. And in the beginning, it's probably because the back of your finger is touching that string. Let me show you. The 3rd finger here on the 5th string. That's the sound I get on the 4th string because the back of my 3rd finger is touching it. If I kind of get my thumb a little bit better behind the neck here, get a little bit more of an arch, that way I can get my finger away from that string. And so there's a clearance right here. And that'll help the 4th string ring. Same thing happens with the 2nd finger and the 3rd string. My 3rd finger is leaning too far down. It's going to touch that 3rd string, and that's the sound you get. So you want to get some clearance there. 1st finger, same thing. I have to get right in between the 3rd and the 1st string. Make sure I'm not touching either. Here's the 3rd string, here's the 2nd string, and here's the 1st string. If I lean too far back with the first finger, I get that muted sound. So just sit with this C chord. Go ahead and get your fingers in the right spot. Strum it, hear how it sounds, make some adjustments, strum it again, and take your hand off, kind of shake it out. Be nice to your hands. You'll be developing calluses as you work on these chords, so it's probably a little tender at first. And then just reform the C chord again. And just sit and practice with that C chord for a few minutes every day. And get it dialed in so that all the notes are ringing nice and clear. And what we'll do now is start building our chord vocabulary with the C chord. And from there we'll learn other chords, minor chords, dominant seventh chords, and you'll quickly build a chord vocabulary that you'll use when you learn to play songs.